when we started to look at, as we started to develop Rap City, we had two choices. We're either going to do this and do it as a corporate model where we would own all of the locations ourselves,
right,
and we would find and staff and operate and all of the things that go with it, or we're going to head down that path of being a franchisable model, where you would find great partners out there to own their own locations but under our brand.
By good luck or bad luck, we decided to do homemade potato chips with our wraps and sandwiches, and they just took off. They really did, and customers really kind of pointed us in that direction. We've got 20 wraps, 20 sandwiches, salads, flatbreads on a menu that's very scalable. We do have one store out in Aurora, Ohio.
Verging your way into the Midwest now. So my last question for you guys, and that I ask everybody that comes onto the show, is what has been your recipe to revenue? What has been your secret to success so far?
I would say a good recipe for us is
Hi, welcome back to Recipe to Revenue. I am here today with the owners of Rap City Sandwich Company, Peter Ackerman and Gregg Ryan. So good to have you guys on the show today. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I am very excited to hear your story. I love when I get a chance to interview business partners, because there's always a lot of dynamics in running a business with a business partner. You hear a lot of, it's a marriage and you have to kind of court each other to see if you're good business partners, and the day-to-day, development of the business. There's just so much that happens. So let's start kind of at the beginning. Tell us how you got the business started, how you decided to work together to start Rap City.
Yeah. Well, Peter and I worked together previously, so I guess from, business partners today perspective, we worked together probably for 10 some odd years, kind of in another life, kind of certainly got to know each other over that period of time, but started in 2015 kind of as a test, or maybe we kind of talked about flipping some restaurants and some quick serve businesses, very similar to how people flip homes, and kind of the world we came from, kind of felt like, you could pick up on some of the cues pretty well when somebody was not in the best of spaces, and we felt like we could make some of those adjustments and fixes, and potentially flip the business, just like people do it every day. Yeah. And as we got into it, and we started to kind of hone in a little bit more on what we were creating. We very quickly decided that it was not something we wanted to dump very quickly. We wanted to stick with it and
keep with it,
and kind of really built it as a franchisable model to have some structure and some legal documents and all that kind of happy stuff to be able to grow the brand.
Yeah. So tell us, obviously there's everything from delis to, Subways out there. So how did you guys decide to, when you're starting Rap City, create something that was different for the market?
We used to go to Lawrence, Massachusetts, to get a Cuban sandwich. Lawrence is a very Spanish neighborhood, very authentic Cuban place. And we thought, and we loved it. Yeah. Loved the sandwich.
There are some places it's just worth the drive to go to get that one thing, right?
Yeah, and we would seek out, that Cuban sandwich. And then there was another place where we'd get a Mexican torta, but you had to go there to get the Mexican torta. You had to go there to get the Cuban.
Right.
And, we kind of stepped back for a second and said, geez, can we create a diverse menu on a scalable platform where you can get more than just ham, turkey, roast beef? And, we kind of pick on some of the other guys because that's the crutch of their business is ham, turkey, roast beef.
Sure.
And, Rap City Sandwich Company for us is just so much more, from pulled pork to pastrami, corned beef, thick cut turkey that we make a Thanksgiving wrap out of, to, yes, we have lots of grilled chicken wraps and veggie wraps, and certainly have ham, turkey, and roast beef.
Right.
But
got the basics, but way beyond.
Yeah. A lot of different offerings. We've got 20 wraps, 20 sandwiches, salads, flatbreads on a menu that's very scalable.
Yeah. And how did you decide on, the development of the menu? Do either of you have a culinary background? Did you work with somebody to help come up with the sandwiches? Did you just family taste test?
Yeah.
It was a little bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
We certainly, growing up in the business and knowing what we liked and looking for variety out there, we started to seek out, very similarly to the namesake of Rap City, from the sandwiches come from all different areas. We started to seek those sandwiches out and seek out whether it was, for example, a blue ribbon sandwich that we call, that's a spin-off on a chicken cordon bleu.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's delicious, and when you put that in between, a wrap or a bread, it really takes it to another level. And we really kind of started down that path of seeking out different areas of the country and some different parts of the world where different sandwiches and different styles of meals were very special and very unique to those areas.
Yeah.
And we just started to develop the sandwiches that way.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, when you're traveling and you're like, we're here, we have to, we're in Miami, we have to have a Cuban.
Right.
We're in New Orleans, we have to have the muffaletta.
Yeah.
So
we're in Philadelphia, we have to have that steak and cheese that everybody talks about with the cheese whiz.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So
I'm sorry to cut you off. We made the sandwiches in a way that if you came over, to my house, this is how I would make you the sandwich. We didn't make it in a way that was corporate driven. We didn't make it in a way that
you have that perfectly round slice of turkey and it's placed on the sandwich. There you go.
Right, exactly.
So very, you're kind of have invited people into your homes and palates with the development of the business. And so I actually, I met you guys at a franchise show, and that's how, some of what I want to talk about today is your decision to franchise the business. And, so you started out with your own stores, and then you decided on the expansion would take a franchisor. Like, you want to talk a little bit about that route? How's that going for you, and why you made that decision?
Yeah, I think, when we started to look at, as we started to develop Rap City, we had two choices. We're either going to do this and do it as a corporate model where we would own all of the locations ourselves.
Right.
And, we would find and staff and operate and all of the things that go with it. Or we're going to head down that path of being a franchisable model where you would find great partners out there to own their own locations, but under our brand.
Right.
And, I think for us, building the business out, it was still going to be developed the same way. It still had to be something that when we were developing it, we built it to be scalable. We built it to be that duplicatable model out there, not just built as one. So we did manuals, we did build specs and all those types of things, and really felt that when we opened store number one, if it had legs, we would head down that path of franchising it.
Right.
And that's what we did. We opened store number one, and just a few short months later, we started to seek out a company to help us do the franchising.
Yeah. And so how long did that process take to put all the franchise material together?
Probably about a year. Yeah.
A little over a year, yeah. All done. Yeah.
And then what do you for that first store, that first franchisee, what do you think made them decide to go with you? What was sort of your secret sauce in that area?
Well,
it was a former employee.
Yeah, it was somebody that we kind of worked with in another life, and he had kind of been kicking around, and obviously was showing a little interest, and as all of a sudden, Mark is here again, and I think we kind of just made it simple, to be honest with you. We are a pretty lean company. We've got 14 locations open today. We have one additional person, Kazito, who helps us as a new director of franchising.
Yeah.
And we really don't complicate things. That's, I think that's unfortunate today. I think a lot of things get complicated very quickly.
Sure.
We don't have a lot of layers.
Yeah, we always say
it's good and bad. Sometimes it's a curse.
You can't point the finger very far.
There's only a couple of people to look at. Then,
yeah,
so.
You can't say let me get back to you, because you're looking at the people who are going to make the decisions,
sure.
good or bad, and they're not always good.
And solve the problems.
Yeah. And so you're in the Northeast now. You said 14 stores, and then what are the plans for expansion?
We do have one store out in Aurora, Ohio.
Okay.
And,
so you're verging your way into the Midwest now.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah.
We'd love to be able to grow, certainly from within, right? As quickly where we started and continue to grow out, because that's a natural progression, and that's kind of easier when you look on a map, and easier from an operational standpoint, certainly from vendors and those types of things.
Right.
But at the same time, we're going to take it as it comes. And if somebody comes knocking on the door from 4 states away, we're going to entertain it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've been in this business our whole lives. So kind of figuring those dynamics out of opening in a different area, opening in a different state, opening with a different, supply house or company, we're able to figure those things out together.
Yeah. Yeah. Very organic process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how are you supporting the franchisees with marketing when they're in a new market like Ohio?
Sure.
Very similar when it comes to social stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
It's the same company that's supporting them, and we look at the dynamics the same way, and they target the customers the same way, and so far so good.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah. Excellent. You have a good formula.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah. So there's something I think that's pretty unique about you guys. So you were telling me a story about your chip factory.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and how that evolved.
So the chips are probably as much of they are a big part of Rap City, and it's hard to probably do much digging online and not have the chips come up.
Sure.
We started making the chips in the back room of the sandwich shops, and the last thing we wanted to do was serve our sandwich with an off-the-shelf food service brand chip or a pickle,
that everybody has.
Everybody has. So we, by good luck or bad luck, we decided to do homemade potato chips with our wraps and sandwiches, and they just took off. They really did, and customers really kind of pointed us in that direction, and took an initial step of a smaller little facility. It was 2,000 square feet, and we would work around the clock 6 days a week in a couple of large kettles, and quickly outgrew that and just kind of branched into the grocery world last year.
Yeah.
And we've got some pretty good equipment right now, and looking to add to it, try to refine it, and maybe expand upon phase 2 of our little factory. And right now we're doing about 120,000 pounds of potatoes a week.
Wow.
So that's about 2 tractor trailers.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you getting your potatoes from, Idaho or, Midwest?
Northern Maine.
Yeah. Okay. So East Coast potatoes. County. Very nice.
Yeah. Rustic County is just great for russet potatoes.
Yeah. Excellent. And so, your potato chips are a little bit different. They're like a sweet and salty. So kind of like, the experience you can have with like a kettle corn popcorn where it's sweet and salty, but you don't really get that with a potato chip that often. So very unique flavor to them. So
yeah, very similar.
So how do you think that has, do you see that as a whole separate area of the business that can start to grow on its own? And are there other products in mind, or is it very, just fully integrated with the restaurants? Like they live together and support each other in their growth?
It's a little bit of both. They certainly support each other. They both draw awareness to each other. It's started together and not really growing apart, but living separately together, right?
Yeah.
They're the potato chips when we go into different areas, different supermarkets with regions that we don't have a location, and it certainly draws awareness to the locations, and people start seeking them out,
right?
And vice versa.
And so on the packaging for the chips, do you have, find our locations or visit our stores, some sort of call to action there?
Yeah. There's a little QR code that brings you to the website for the Rhapsody stores also.
And the chips are Rhapsody Potato Chip Company. We did not want to name them Gregg and Peter's Potato Chips. We wanted to kind of tease the brand out in different markets, and with the hope that someday maybe we would have a sandwich company store there as well.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I love the diversification of the business model with the chips in addition to the stores. So tell me a little bit now, we're going to shift gears a little bit about some of the challenges. What has been some of the biggest challenges that you've run into in launching the business?
It's a good question.
Certainly, I think bandwidth. We're small. It's a couple of people, and there's a lot of times where, whether it's an opportunity or whether it's the growth of a direction of another location, where we've been pigeonholed and unable to kind of not only get out of our own way, but have the bandwidth to be able to take on different opportunities at whatever times those may have come across our plate.
Yeah, how about that? We had a New Hampshire Business Journal review reached out, and full candid disclosure, we were neck deep in getting the factory going. We completely missed the opportunity from an advertising and marketing perspective to talk about our brand, because we were just so deep in the soup.
Yeah.
Just missed it. Just completely missed it. And they were very gracious and polite. They still included us in an article.
Yeah, nice. But not all was lost, but
no, but we didn't capitalize on the opportunity. Not even a little bit.
Right.
So that we like to do things. We're very much kind of doers, and that that gets you sometimes too.
Yeah. So are you, sort of on the day to day as these opportunities come in, are you really dividing and conquering? Okay, we have opportunity Ohio, sending somebody out to go scope that out. And then, there's, attention is needed in the chip factory. And then, we have some stores here we have to go check on. Like, what is like kind of the day to day like for you guys?
That's about it. That's about it. You summarized it pretty well.
It's got a peeking in the clown car. But it's really kind of what comes up in the moments. And I think the thing is, Gregg and I have worked together for a long time. And we both understand all facets of the business very well. And we're kind of very interchangeable. There's certainly some things that Gregg's much better at than I am. And there's some things that I gravitate more to on my end that maybe he doesn't. But, on an emergency type basis, we're both very interchangeable, and kind of where are you in the moment? It may be more convenient for one or other or both of us to go seek out and solve the problems. Being so hands-on, it can, it is, like I said, it's a blessing, and it also is a curse sometimes. But we don't have a deep bench of people that solve problems, because we're always saying, oh, we can take care of it. We'll do it. We'll get it. We don't need to pay somebody to do it. We'll take care of it. And the next thing you know, we're the ones taking care of everything. And kind of looking at each other going, well, we goofed that one up again.
Yes can be a problem. Sometimes, it's a tough one to get away from.
It is, because you think, oh, I have to say yes to create opportunity. And then you also sometimes can then pigeonhole yourself into, there just literally isn't enough hours in the day to handle all these things I said yes to or want to say yes to, and lose out on that. So, but I think that's a very, to your point earlier about being interchangeable to some degree. I think that's very undervalued, because, in a small business, in a, more startup environment, that kind of flexibility, I think, is tremendously valuable, so that where one is needed, the other can fill in, and so on, rather than just like, oh, I'm the finance guy, I never look at a single piece of packaging or, deal with customers. It's just not my thing. It's like, well, everybody kind of has to pitch in to get this going. So
yeah.
Yes,
it's certainly helped us along the way. There's no doubt. We've been successful because of our ability to, one, kind of be jacks of all trades sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon to see us when we've built out some stores. We're the ones that are digging the trenches where the pipes are going. We're the ones that are saw cutting the cement floor,
cutting concrete.
Wow.
We're physically picking up our industrial cooking equipment from the factory ourselves. And we went to pick it up, and they said, "What are you guys doing with that?" And they pointed at a trailer. We said, "We're picking up our equipment." And, we brought it into the building and set everything up. And, it's certainly, on the left hand, it saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Yeah.
On the right hand, it helped educate us along the way of operating this equipment, of, how it works and what makes it function and those types of things. When emergencies happen, the hair on fire moments get less and less as time goes on, because we've already attained that knowledge
That's a
of
great
how
point.
to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you literally know the business inside and out, like from the studs to the shelves.
Oh yeah, and underneath too.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then having that knowledge, so that like that, going back to the franchise component of it, you just have such a deep working knowledge of the actual business, so that you can replicate it for other people, and what will fail, and what will succeed, and those lessons are valuable for those franchisees.
Yeah, it's there's people say there's no substitute for experience, right? And we're certainly not experts by any stretch, but being in the business your whole life and coming from another brand that had both franchise and corporately owned stores, and us starting our brand as a franchise brand, we were very passionate about making sure that our franchisees got off the ground up and running for as reasonable as possible from a monetary standpoint.
Sure.
We designed our locations very specifically for the products that we use are not overly expensive things, from the wood on the walls that we use to
the flooring
to the signage to the equipment that we cook on is readily available anywhere. Anywhere. We did not need overly specialized equipment and overly specialized people that need to deal with that. Whether they were, chefs or people that were highly trained culinarily wise. We came up with a very scalable, duplicatable model, and our menu reflects that, but the menu being so unique is what we feel is one of the things that makes us very special from a franchise perspective.
Right.
Typically these sandwiches were not found in any type of scalable or duplicatable model out there. Yeah. And we feel like, and so far so good, we've taken that to another level.
Yeah. So what do you think makes a good franchisee for you? What are you looking for in a person?
Well,
passion.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear a lot of the same buzzwords, I got to imagine. But,
I think it's certainly passion. It's Gregg and I moved out onto our own because we had that yearning to do something else, to do something different, and continue to. It was the next phase of our life. We felt like, we've sought out franchisees that are in that type of position in life also. They've been a great GM at a restaurant, or it doesn't even have to be a restaurant. They've worked very hard for so many years of their life, and they've got a little bit of money saved up. And what's next for those type of people in their life? It's to either start something on their own, if they're looking to have that entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Sure.
To break out and start doing something, whether as a family or on their own. And, those are the types of people that we seek out and have made very good franchisees for us and had great relationships with us because we came from similar backgrounds and headed down similar paths.
Yeah. How important do you think it is for them to have restaurant experience versus business experience?
Restaurant experience not required. Do you need to enjoy food?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need to be engaging in the food and in the business, absolutely. But we've got a couple people, husband and wife. Husband has been in this business his whole life. Mom stayed at home and homeschooled 4 kids, and she's dynamite. I mean, she cannonballed right in, and
hey, listen, if she has 4 kids, she knows how to run a team.
Oh yeah.
She could certainly multitask.
Yeah, and but she didn't come from this world, of restaurant and food background, and so definitely not a requirement by any stretch.
Yeah, excellent, good. All right.
In addition to, you mentioned the business end of it. We were very passionate about having systems and processes in place to not watch hardworking franchisees fail because they were not managing their money properly. So one of the things that we have a requirement is, if you're going to be a franchisee, you have to have some type of a bookkeeping service to manage your bills for you on a week-to-week basis. That also goes with an accountant to make sure that they're not using their business as an ATM machine. And after working, maybe they're really good at making sandwiches and standing behind the counter and running the physical piece of the business.
Right.
To go home and run payroll and reconcile, taxes and get the bills paid and do tax payments and all those types of things that go along with running the business. We felt like, we watched people in the past fail, not because they weren't busy and doing business, because they just were mismanaging money. And it was because it was not their strike zone. It was not their knowledge base.
Yeah, you do really have to kind of have that full, well-rounded view of what it takes to run it. And it's not just making the sandwiches, it's not just doing the books. So it's like you need to have yourself in tune with both of them. And in that case, if it's a husband-wife partner, and they can, just like you guys, divide the responsibilities or share the responsibilities. But obviously it's not going to be a very successful business if you're not running payroll and paying your taxes. So
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so my last question for you guys, and that I ask everybody that comes onto the show, is what has been your recipe to revenue? What has been your secret to success so far?
I would say a good recipe for us is what I mentioned in the beginning, is just, keeping it relatively simple, following our recipe, which is make the sandwiches the right way, make them consistently, and treat people the right way. And that goes for customers, employees, guests. It's really not that complicated. When you break it down, like, serve good food, treat people right, keep your environment clean.
Don't overcharge. Don't burn it.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are we talking about? Is it that difficult? Right. Yeah, it can be. But,
sure, there are days, but when you look at the big picture.
Yeah, obviously we're simplifying it here at the end, but those are the real simple things that if you do it and do it consistently, wash, rinse, repeat every day, that recipe works.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Gregg and Peter, thank you so much for joining me. I loved hearing more about the Rhapsody story, and just tell everybody where they can find you if they are in one of your cities, and where they can find you online.
Sure.
RhapsodySandwiches.com.
Yep.
That'll bring it to everything that's us.
Yeah. Excellent. Go there. The restaurant locator, I'm sure, is on the site, and go check them out. I am looking forward to I've had the chips, like I said, but I am looking forward to trying the sandwiches soon.
Awesome.
We look forward to having you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right. I appreciate it.
Great time. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Be well.